welcome to Medicare GPS, navigating you step by step through your Medicare journey. My name is Jamon White. This is my wife and partner, Paula White, and we are founders of Four Oaks Medicare Planning. We hope that you're enjoying the content on this podcast, and so be sure to like and subscribe, and just make sure and give us feedback on what you would like to see on future podcasts. So, what do we have on deck today?
Yeah, so today we're going to be going over why people either love or hate the Medicare Supplement Plan G. So that's our big topic for today. Then we're going to be having some story time where we talk about real life stories that we come across in our practice at Four Oaks Medicare Planning. And then we're going to have a quote and end with some deadlines and news.
All right, so let's get started.
So what is Medicare Supplement Plan G to start with? And we'll go from there.
The Medicare Supplement Plan G is obviously one of the standardized plans that the government allows companies to offer to supplement Part A and Part B of Medicare. So A is the hospital, B is the medical, kind of the inpatient, outpatient stuff, but you have out-of-pocket costs that can get really, really high if you don't have something to help supplement it. And so that's exactly what a Medicare supplement's designed to do. And so Plan G is one of the ones that are standardized that people really look at, and it's a very popular option these days.
Right. And so that reminds me of our first podcast, The Ugliest Part of Medicare, which is that lack of out-of-pocket maximum.
That's
a lot of people think, oh, well, the government's going to give me insurance now that I'm 65.
It's going to pay everything 100%, and It doesn't. I mean, under Part B, you remember, you pay 20% of Medicare-approved charges, and that's unlimited. There's nothing that caps it. And so that's the reason why the Medicare supplement exists and why the Plan G exists among other ones. Plan N, Plan K, Plan L. There's plenty of choices, but Plan G really comes up over and over and over again, and that's why we're talking about it.
Right. And so the differences between those different letters, right, it's kind of alphabet soup over there, is the difference between premiums, difference between copays, different coverages.
No, you're absolutely correct. Depending upon the letter, the coverage is going to be a little bit different, and that means the price is going to be a little bit different. Right. Usually, if you give the responsibility of the cost more over to the insurance company, they're going to charge you a higher price. Right. If you're going to assume more of the responsibility and paying some out-of-pocket costs that they don't have to, well, they're going to give you a little price break on that.
Right.
So it's really just trying to figure out what is right for you. And that's why it's really important to understand the Medicare supplements, and particularly the Medicare Supplement Plan G.
Yeah. So why do people love the Plan G?
People love the Plan G because it covers the most things. I mean, honestly, that's the whole reason why most people have the Plan G, is because they just want a turnkey solution almost. Now, before 2020, many people were going on what's called the Plan F. Now, it has been discontinued for those that turned 65 after January 1 of 2020, but that was the one that covered everything. So, but the Plan G right now is the most comprehensive, most turnkey of the supplements, which is why people really, really love it.
But like you were saying, the more coverage, the higher that premium is most likely going to be.
Right.
Okay, so we hit some great points on why people love the Plan G. Very comprehensive. Why do people hate the Plan G? I see it on the internet all the time. It's like, don't get the Plan G. Whatever you do, it's the worst. What is that all about?
Right. Well, I think part of that is just they want you to click.
They're trying to get you to
watch
click
that video
and then buy the Plan G, right?
So, but it's important to remember that we've talked about that we tell people all the time, your choice is going to depend upon two factors, cost and coverage. And so why people love the Plan G? Coverage. It's the most comprehensive. Well, why people don't like the Plan G will be the other factor, the cost.
Right. Just like we were saying, the higher the coverage, the higher that price is going to be.
That's right. That's right. And so what's really important to remember is the Plan G, because it is the most comprehensive, it is going to be the most expensive. And so that's why there's these other supplements that you can consider, because you can pull back a little bit and take a little bit more responsibility on paying some out-of-pocket costs and still get a very comprehensive supplement as well.
So you just get open to a couple copays here or there, and then
Well, you're kind of alluding to the Plan N.
Right.
You know, so
Okay.
let's talk about, so the Plan N is one of the other very popular supplements.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but it introduces some copays. When you go to the doctor or go into the ER, under the Plan N, you pay the excess charge.
Yeah.
The Plan G, again, pays it for you. So there's some differences there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why there's many people that will choose a Plan N.
Choose the Plan N.
Because it's better for their pocketbook.
Right. And there's a great vlog on our website, go4oaks.com, about the differences between Plan N and Plan G, because those are typically the most chosen of our supplements.
So go to that.
It's
because
great.
It's
it really outlines it, what's good, what's not good, which of those is really better for you as an individual. And so we know it costs more in the beginning, right? But we also know there's escalations to those prices over time as well.
Right. Yeah, so this is really important too, because again, if you're talking with somebody and they're just wanting to get you to buy something, like, they're going to just quote you the price it is, and it might sound great right now.
Mm-hmm.
But over the long term, you also need to consider that factor too.
Mm-hmm.
So remember, you're getting this now, but you want to keep it for years and years and years to come.
Mm-hmm.
Because later on, you're likely to have to answer health questions if you want to change your Medicare supplement.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really important to make a good decision on the Plan G, not in terms of just what the price is looking like today. But what has it done historically, so that you can see how the escalations have happened within that company or the Plan G in the future.
Over
and so
time.
That's another reason why people don't like the Plan G, is because the price escalations tend to be, the rates of increase compared to like the Plan N tend to be higher.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you start out with a gap here, the Plan G and the N or another supplement, right, like that, over the longer term, they're going to go up. But the rate of increase of the Plan G is going to go up usually at a faster rate.
Right.
So you want to consider that when you're thinking about your monthly budget and all of that, because that's what makes people very angry about the Plan G.
Yeah, and then the insurance companies can just increase it during the year.
Right. So they're regulated by the Department of Insurance, but they can go in, and if they need to cover their profit, or they show the factors that allow them to do rate increases, they will. And so utilization, all those things play into it. Now, if you think about it a little bit, I think anecdotally, the Plan G goes up faster because people that maybe access the medical system more like the Plan G better, because you don't want to pay copays and out-of-pocket costs if you're accessing the medical system a lot.
Right.
Well, that puts more pressure on that Plan G as opposed to maybe the Plan N or another supplement. So again, you can kind of see how maybe someone who doesn't access the doctor as much might pick a different supplement than Plan G. Plan G is very turnkey, so someone who's very worried about cost because they go to the doctor a lot, that puts more upward pressure on claims, which can drive rates up. So those are the factors that you have to consider with the Plan G.
So what advice do we have for folks that are considering the Plan G?
Well, I mean, again, it comes down to cost and coverage. You need to consider your budget. And you need to consider your budget over the longer term, because this is going to be something that you're going to want in place for many, many years to come. So that brings the second thing. Really make sure you vet the company. The vetting the company is important, because not all companies are the same. They're not. Their Plan G might be the same, but the way that they do rate increases, all those factors can play into whether you're tying yourself to a company that is going to effectively allow you to keep that Plan G over time. And so this is all the stuff that we do every single day. So we try to represent the top companies and really understand what their rates have been doing historically, so that we can look into the future and be more confident to say, hey, we don't have a crystal ball, but as far as cost, we're confident that of all the companies, these companies are going to do better to keep those rates of increase from being too quick. And then obviously the coverage is great, on the Plan G.
Coverage is what the coverage is.
The coverage is what the coverage is. And so not all companies are the same.
All right. Well, I think that pretty much covers the Plan G. Why people love it and hate it.
Yeah, and if leave a comment or contact us if you have additional questions about what we've talked about today.
Exactly. So now that brings us into story time. Jamon, you got a story for us today?
I do. We've been talking about the Plan G a whole lot. And what's really important for people to remember is that you can actually change a Medicare supplement. You know, you might have to answer some health questions, but you can change a supplement anytime during the year and change that price.
It's not just during the annual election period.
That's right.
For the Medicare Advantage plans.
So I had an individual call me the other day with that. The Plan G had been escalating kind of out of control, and her health was fine. We were able to change her supplement into, this one happened to be into a similar Plan G, and we saved her about $100 a month. So that's about $1,200 a year. Now, one thing is you can also, if you want to look at going from a Plan G to a Plan N, well, you're going to increase that savings per year as well. So just you can go from G to G, or you can try to go from G to N, maybe get some additional monthly savings. It would have saved her even more, but she felt more comfortable staying into the supplement that she was used to.
Right, and it's the same coverage, right? Going from Plan G to Plan G, like we were saying, the government regulates all of that. And so the coverage itself is exactly the same for her. It's just her price difference.
That's right. So again, it all boils down to cost and coverage. If you want to save a lot more money, you might consider a G to an N. If you want to keep it the same, the coverage the same, and you like the G, then we can just reset that price.
Right.
It's going to be a win-win either way.
Assuming they can pass the health questions. I mean, I think there is some underwriting that goes with that.
Underwriting's introduced, but we know all of those, and we can vet that pretty quickly.
Early on. Yeah. So that brings us into the quote of the day. So today's quote is, "To love oneself is the beginning of a lifelong romance." That is Oscar Wilde.
You have to love yourself to find joy.
Yeah. And I picked it, I think, because there's so many people. I just keep hearing about the epidemic of loneliness and people being alone, and depression and all that is up a lot, so just want to encourage people to start loving yourself and get out there and do things and
get out there, live.
Yeah.
Live. If you
Always
love
our
yourself,
mantra.
you need to go live.
That's it. Awesome. Okay, so that brings us into the news and deadlines segment.
Yeah, so we're still in the open enrollment period from January 1 to March 31st. That's just when you can make a Medicare Advantage change one time, or you can go back to original Medicare. So it's really important, those 3 months. We're also in the general enrollment period, so that's also this time period. So if you did not get on Part B when you were first supposed to, and you don't have a special enrollment, this is the time to do it. So that doesn't hit very many people, but it's important to know general enrollment for Part B is right now as well. And then just note that, if you're coming up on your 65th birthday month, the 3 months prior to your birthday month, that's when to start engaging and getting Medicare set up and asking those questions, because your initial enrollment period is coming.
Is happening. So if you were listening to this segment and you're like, ooh, that Plan G actually sounds really good for me, that's what you're saying. This open enrollment period, they can now potentially move to a Plan G if they wanted.
Right. Now, again, we would want to set up, make sure that you could get that approved, health questions, all of that before we made any transition. But yes, this is the time period where you can do that.
And it's always worth the ask. If you're interested in it, we can talk about it and just figure out what's best for you.
That's right. Well, I hope that you have found this podcast very helpful and just a discussion on the Plan G. And if you have any other questions, don't hesitate to let us know or give us a comment.
Yeah, like and subscribe for sure. I'll put the links below for how to choose the right Medigap supplement plan for you, and also the differences between the Plan N and the Plan G. I'll put those down in the description. And tune in next time. Our topic will be why doctors hate Medicare Advantage.
Oh, that's very relevant.
So we'll see you then.
Okay, bye-bye.